All right, everyone. Welcome to our next edition of the Getting to Know podcast. Today, we have another special guest. His name is Alex Trepper. Alex just graduated from Greensboro College. He was on the baseball team for 4 years. Had a super incredible college career, not just on the diamond, but also in the classroom and around the community. So we're really fortunate and thankful for Alex taking the time out. And Alex, first of all, thank you for joining us. And second of all, how hot is it down in Florida?
It's pretty hot. It's too hot. I miss North Carolina.
I hear you. It's pretty hot down here too. It's I don't think it's much better, but appreciate you joining us, Alex. Caroline also is on our interview today. Caroline is our intern. She was a soccer player at Wofford, and we also want to thank her for being here too. So, Alex, let's get right into it. We're going to start at the beginning. Alex, tell us about where you grew up, just kind of a little bit about family life, and then kind of when and how you started playing baseball.
I was born in the Tampa Bay area and raised here my entire life. Um, Originally in St. Pete, but then before I can even remember, moved to the just normal Tampa Bay area, little park called Citrus Park, which is about 20 minutes north of downtown Tampa. And I started playing baseball when I was 3 years old. Um, Dad found a little league somewhere that let 3-year-olds play, and so I started playing. Apparently, from a young age, I just always wanted to play with a ball, throw a ball, just all that sort of stuff. So started playing sports and baseball real early, as pretty much early as I can remember.
So obviously you were a pitcher in college. As you were growing up, what were the positions that you played kind of in Little League?
I pretty much, as soon as pitching was allowed, like kid pitch, I pretty much remember being able to pitch. Always was a pitcher, um, all through Little League, when I started playing travel ball, through high school. I played pretty much every other position besides catcher, like every kid kind of does. Um, I wouldn't really say I had one firm position, but I could always pitch. So I
Awesome.
from a young age.
Yeah. So baseball's pretty big down in Florida, really all around the state. Um, who are some kids that you played with that kind of ended up maybe you saw them play in college yourself or even in the pros?
So funny enough, the MLB draft just happened, and two of my high school teammates were just drafted. One out of UCF and one out of uh, Florida Gulf Coast. So, and then just I, if I have it, I'd probably have to sit here and think, but probably over a dozen kids that I either played against growing up or played with are currently playing professional baseball, or high level D1 baseball. It's kind of insane. From my high school alone, we had 11. My senior year, we had 11 kids in our senior class, and 9 went on to play college baseball.
That's
So
awesome.
it's definitely fair to say baseball is pretty big around here.
Yeah, it's
The biggest name that I probably played against is Blaze Jordan.
yeah.
Never got a chance to play with him, but pretty much from 13U on, 12U on, I was playing against him every summer.
Did you get to pitch against them?
Yeah, he took me deep.
Well, I mean, it's okay. At least you know that he went, to the
At Disney
pros.
World, nevertheless, too. At a AAU tournament nationals at Disney World, happiest place on earth. I got taken deep.
Yeah, well, it maybe it made it the saddest place on earth for a couple seconds, but it's that's awesome. I mean, Florida is such a huge baseball hotbed. And for those that don't know, I mean, there are so many professional players who've come out of there, but even those that don't reach the professional level. I mean, there's such a huge amount of baseball talent down in Florida, and so that takes me to my next question. There's for the last few, I guess you could say two at least, head coaches or coaching staffs at Greensboro. There's been a Florida connection, and obviously you're from Florida. There's been many, athletes, baseball players in particular, from your neck of the woods that have come up to Greensboro College. So, how did you find Greensboro College? And tell us more about that connection between Greensboro and Florida, but that Tampa area.
So, as I understand, the connection dates back to probably 2014, 2015, around there. The University of Tampa is a Division II powerhouse in baseball, and their longtime assistant, Frank Maldonado, who's currently the head coach of the AA minor league affiliate of the Rays, was the assistant coach at the time at UT, left to take the head coach job at Greensboro, and his first year essentially brought all of his recruits with him. And that established this just Tampa pipeline. My freshman year of high school, there was a senior that I watched him go through college commitment, college recruiting, and he ended up going to Greensboro. So I'd known about Greensboro College for since my freshman year of high school, and as I was just sort of going through the process, that same coach, Frank Maldonado, I got in contact with him after a showcase, and from there it was kind of history. They have this Tampa pipeline. They have coaches in Tampa, local big youth coaches that their sons have gone to Greensboro to play. So they kind of scout for them, the Florida area, and so you go pitch for them. And I just remember a couple of phone calls with Frank, and came up on my visit and fell in love with the place.
Awesome. So what made you fall in love with Greensboro? I mean, there's a lot, I'm sure, things with the baseball program I'm sure you liked, but what was it about the Greensboro area and then the college in particular?
So I would say there were a lot of big factors into what made Greensboro the right choice for me. One was I knew I wanted to experience something different. Being born and raised in Tampa, Florida, never really experienced anything outside of Florida. I mean, small vacations and stuff like that, but wanted, to explore and see what was out there. And as I was, going through high school and just, knowing that, one, I knew I was good enough to play college baseball, and two, I had the want to do it. Going through that whole process, looking at all these schools, this Greensboro kind of fit every criteria. It had the majors that I was interested in. It wasn't in the middle of nowhere. Coming from Tampa, I didn't want to go to, middle of nowhere, one stoplight town. And it was far enough away from home where, it was something new and I was exploring something different, but it was also close enough, to where I could get there in a day if I needed to get home. So, and not just that, like in my high school, in my graduating class, there were close to 700 students, and at Greensboro we have almost 1,000. So, the way I learn, the way I like to do school is very individualized and stuff like that. So I knew the small school environment was going to be great for me. Knowing that I could get from one end to the campus from the other in a 5-minute walk was also another big thing for me. And also because it was a small school, knowing that it was surrounded by big schools and that it wasn't, just, a sleepy little town, it also made it interesting and a good fit for me.
Yeah, so you get to Greensboro, um, and I've only been here for about a year now, but um, seeing everything that you've been involved in outside of baseball, is one of the things that's really impressive about you is that you jumped in, to this college life of getting involved with, different student activities and, doing an internship with sports information. When you got to Greensboro, is that something that you thought about right away? Is, hey, I want to jump in, get to know as many people as I can, or is that something that kind of developed as over your 4 years, and at the end of your or near the end of your career, you kind of got more involved? How did that work?
So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say I came to Greensboro wanting, like, knowing I was gonna want to be a part of every single thing that I was. I came to Greensboro because I wanted to get a degree and I wanted to play baseball. That was the reason I stepped onto campus in August. But as soon as I got there, about a month into school, already starting to build, relationships with professors and people on campus, that you can do in the first couple of weeks at a small school like Greensboro. I was invited to join the Collegian. A professor named Dr. Wayne Johns saw my first couple of writing assignments, kind of talking with him, knew what I wanted to do, invited me to come write for the school newspaper as a sports writer. So I joined that and wrote all 4 years, became, one of the assistant editors and a website team designer, and just got heavily involved with that as the years went on. Going into my freshman spring, we had, like, I want to say 4 or 5 upperclassmen leave during the December break. So, and it just so happened they were all SAC members. Um, so our assistant coach at the time sent out a message and was like, people looking to get involved, here's an easy way. We need SAC members ASAP. First people to like this message. And it just so happened I was on my phone at the time, and I liked the message and I joined SAC. And I was in it for 4 years and became VP my senior year. Like, it just kind of snowballed like that. And then, things with student government and all sorts of other aspects of campus, the food pantry stuff. I've always had an aspect for giving back. I've always, especially with who my parents are, big into not just sitting by, letting things just roll, being an active member of the community, an active person, an active leader. So when one of the student activity people came up to me and asked if I was interested in becoming president of SGA and the student body, I said sure. And 2 years later, I was throwing a 2-day wide Olympic Games event and helped raise $10,000 for our food pantry. It just kind of snowballed. I'm good. I have strong leadership qualities. I have good organizational skills. So, that sort of stuff just kind of comes easy. And I enjoy doing it. So that also just didn't really seem like work to me.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us how you got into sports information. A lot of people, some people do know. I would say most probably don't know the voice that was you were the voice of Greensboro College athletics for a lot of our broadcasts, especially this past year. Tell us how you got into that, and when did your interest start in broadcasting? Because I know we've obviously talked about it a good bit, but you got a lot of compliments for your work as doing the play-by-play for the broadcast this past year. And I want to know, when did you think about going into that, and what did you do to practice? Because I mean, it's not something that necessarily, like, if you jump on the mic right away, you may not be great at it first. You've got to get some practice at it. So how did you come to to have a passion for it, and how do you work and get better at it?
So I honestly can't really say I remember when I had the passion for it. I can just always remember being obsessed with sports. And every aspect of sports, not just the people playing on the field, but the coaching, the broadcast aspect, the TV aspect, the journalism aspect, even though it's not really my interest, but the physical training and the business side of sports, like anything that has to do with athletics pretty much has piqued my interest my entire life. And I've always just kind of been good at writing. I've always enjoyed writing. And when I got to high school, I joined the TV production organization, and I was the host of the morning show. I was doing sports news articles. I was, going to Friday night football games and basketball games with a camera, and filming stuff and interviewing players and doing stuff like that. So when I got to college, new GC wasn't really that big. My first couple of years, we really, the media side, I pretty much just thought the Collegian was the biggest like media thing that we had. And then sort of my last 2 years, found out, who exactly ran our athletic website, how do we exactly stream games and stuff like that. And found out that it was this whole like job profession that you can go into, and that super piqued my interest. And from July of 2023, I just kind of got in with our school athletic department, started writing for the website, and then started calling games. I had never really done that outside of a couple like high school games, but I knew it was something that I liked, and it like was something that I was kind of interested in and thought that I'd be good at. So thought that, this would be the best time to try it. Started with soccer, and soccer is a very slow paced sport at sometimes. So there's a lot of gaps to fill, especially because you can't get all technical brain on people or they will turn it off. So, and then got into basketball, got more comfortable with it. And then, that's definitely when people started to come up to me about, clipping some of my quotes on slam dunks and stuff like that, which was pretty cool. And so, and the way that I would practice is like, it sounds weird, but if my suite mates or my friends were playing video games or something like that, I would commentate the game. I would put, if I'm watching a game on my TV just in my room, you put it on mute and you commentate. So I mean, it's literally it's just practicing talking, action, all that sort of stuff.
So going more into that, is that something that you're wanting to do in the future? And if so, if you had to pick one sport, I mean, I know you're a baseball player, but you were good at multiple calling sports, for the broadcast. Is there one sport, like if you had to choose, that you would choose to do play-by-play for?
I would have to say maybe not a sport, but something like the Olympics would be really cool. If I had to pick an individual sport, it would probably be hockey.
Okay.
Just nonstop action.
Yeah, for sure. You're a big Florida Panthers fan, and so you got yourself a Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
It was close. 3-0, almost
Almost choked it.
Yeah, it's okay. They had it the whole time. No worries. But yeah, I mean, you did so much as a student at Greensboro, and I think that kind of goes into, most Division III schools are smaller, and I think that kind of goes into my next question of being a Division III athlete. Um, we've talked to a few others, in particular Alexis Sox and Josh Wilson, who were on our podcast. And you can listen to those on Spotify and YouTube. But you know, I think a couple similarities that they mentioned were, just the sports life balance and being able to be involved in multiple things outside of sports. So for you, what are the things that made being a Division III athlete uh unique and special to you?
I would say there's a couple things. The first would be, when it comes to NCAA divisions, the Division III, and if you include JUCO and NAI, Division III is the only division of college athletics where there's zero athletic money given for Division III athletes. So the only, unless you have super good grades, it's a definitely a want to be there attitude with the majority of D3 athletes. Not to say that in the other divisions it's not, but in Division III you sort of get that grit mentality that I'm here because I want to be here. Most Division III schools may only have a couple of teams and they're in the middle of nowhere, and you still have athletes that show up every single day purely because they love the sport and they want to get an education while playing the sport. So I would say that as I sort of went through my 4 years as a Division III athlete was something that I definitely recognized and took appreciative of. And then the other thing is, as a Division III athlete, you're not necessarily playing in front of thousands of people. Your games aren't being nationally televised. They're not even being televised. So you're playing for the person next to you, and for the people who are helping you get to that position. So that aspect of being a D3 student athlete is definitely what makes it worth it.
Awesome. That's great stuff. Yeah, it's definitely unique, and I think it's very similar to, what a lot of student athletes would say. And there's a lot of really good athletes at this level. And like you said, it's that unique part of, getting a good education as well as playing a sport that you just love to play. A lot of kids have played whatever sport they're playing since they were probably 3 years old, like you, and they just want to keep playing and get an education at the same time. So I think that's it's awesome, um, and definitely something that I'm sure you will cherish for the rest of your life. Um, and so one of those, kind of leads to my next question is, you have so much experience, life experience in the last 4 years, um, on a team, but also, with your fellow students. Um, can you tell us maybe one or two things that you're gonna, or lessons that you're gonna take away from your college career as a student athlete that is going to, either life lessons or things that you're going to use, throughout the rest of your life that you were able to learn and experience in college?
Yeah, so I would say that probably the biggest thing that I will take away from my 4 years at GC. Um, how do I want to phrase this? I guess is honestly just the people, I would say. Um, because it's a very small school, tight knit community, in the 2 months since I've left, I don't think there's been more than 6, 7 days that someone hasn't reached out. I haven't, gotten hey, what you been up to text, that sort of stuff. Um, and so the life lesson that I'll take away is, it doesn't really matter where you're at. You can still find people that can have an impact on your life. You don't need to go to a school of 20,000 people to find 50 people that you'll know for the rest of your life. You can go to a school of 960 and find 150 that you'll have connections with for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I went to a small school as well, and I would say the same. And that's one of the really cool parts about college is that you get to meet some of those people that you're gonna know and have relationships, and friendships the rest of your life. And as many people as you got to meet and be around and impact, I think it's going to benefit you a lot. So if you will tell us, and you might have to think on it, but tell us maybe a couple of your favorite memories while at Greensboro, and that could be athletically or within sports information or within the SAC or just any kind of experience on campus. What are some of your favorite memories?
Oh yeah, I have a lot. I'll start. I guess I'll start athletically. I mean, getting the my uh, freshman spring first game of the year. I'm a freshman on a team of 55 dudes with 22 super seniors on that roster because it was the year after COVID. And my dad and brother had come up for opening day because it was my collegiate opening day. I when they were stupid and that there was no way I was gonna pitch. And once you know it, eighth inning comes around, and in my very first college game, I get my very first college appearance, 2 outs, didn't give up any runs, and I just like remember the utter shock on my dad's face when I started moving around and stuff like that when I made eye contact with him. And I'll also never forget because my dad's sending texts to my entire my mom, my entire family back home. And I have this picture of my entire family in Miami on my mom's side, huddled around an iPad, watching the live stream of my first college appearance. So just stuff like that, and then the memories of my family from that have some of them never been to North Carolina before. Getting able the chance to come visit me and stuff like that, and watch me play and do other things. My mom got to watch me call a soccer game on top of our little donkey for a little bit before it got too cold and she had to leave. And just those memories I'll never forget. And then off the field, a lot of good memories with the Collegian. We won. We're pretty good. We were pretty good collegiate newspaper. We won multiple awards. Those were all fun to celebrate. I was fortunate enough to win a couple individual nominations and one individual award. So those are always fun memories I'll never forget. And then just kind of just the stupid stuff that happens in college, like throwing people's mattresses in the hallway when they leave their dorm unlocked. Um, playing mini hoop full court basketball in the basement of West Hall, like just stuff like that too. I'll cherish forever my time at Greensboro.
That's awesome. That's so cool to get to hear those stories that not many people are going to know about. And that's one of the reasons why we have this podcast, and we want people to get to know our student athletes and just to see a little more on the inside of what their lives are like, and to get to know them a little more. And so when you're watching games, you can root them on, and kind of know their backstory. And so, Alex, we thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to seeing everything that you're gonna be doing in the future. You've done a ton for Greensboro College. I think a lot of people um, would want to just say thank you to you, because I don't know if you probably don't realize it, but you've had a big impact on the college as a whole with everything that you've been involved in. And of course, athletically, having um, the presence that you had, not just on the baseball field, but off the field, and being able to bring a great broadcast to basketball games and soccer games and football. Um, and so it's definitely really something that's you've had a great career. It's been unique as a student athlete, and so I'm glad that we got to talk to you today. And we'll definitely be able to catch up soon, but we definitely appreciate you being on.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.